a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. Here on OMTimes. You heard it. You heard it at the beginning. Did you hear that ohm? They heard that ohm from Cincinnati to St. Petersburg, Russia. It was the ohm that went around the world. So here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we like to motivate, inspire, challenge, and we do so in a set of regularly structured programs for most of the month. And this week, we have Rev Lori Powers-Otto, who joins me the second and usually the third show of every month, because the only thing better than having Lori on with me once a month is having Lori on with me twice a month. And this Thursday is called Thoughtful Thursday, where we share inspiration and motivational stories, things going on in the world, things going on in our lives. And we invite you to share things that are thoughtful, inspirational, and motivational. You would do this by calling in, as if we are a live call-in show, and you call in at 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057. And then next week, Lori will be back, and we'll be doing planetary influences when our astrologer, Rob Stewart from innercenter.org, joins us and tells us what lies in the stars that will be influencing us for the time of Virgo. So make sure you come back next week. Miss Lori, how are you?
I am wonderful, Dr. Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. We talked about that a little bit. I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
I just came off a marathon of clients, but that means I'm helping people in the world. So, it's just catching my breath. Actually, I sounded like a Great Dane, didn't I?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but... Hey.
Oh, well. Hey, I grew up with Great Danes. Yep. Well, I tell myself I'm helping people. We'll see what the people say.
They're keeping you busy, so they're saying you're doing a great job.
There we go. See why I like to have Lori on at least twice a month? So there is an awful lot going on in the world. But I was wondering if you'd like to share, to start with, what's going on in your world these days?
In my world? My world is pretty quiet, actually. We're doing good. We're just staying home as much as possible and living life. I mean, it's been actually very wonderful. We do what we want. We try to get stuff done every day. We go out at night. Did you see any of the meteor showers the last 2 nights?
No, I'm afraid I have not had the energy. Bad me.
Well, it does happen every year, so you can always catch this one next year. But it's very beautiful, and it's just a blessing to be able to get out and see it.
Yeah.
So
now, how many more nights will you be able to see him?
2, I think, maybe 3.
Okay. So
and you don't have to what? Go out way late. That's what someone said to me. Oh, do you have to go out at 2 in the morning? No, we're seeing them at 9:30 when we take our dog out, to do her business, or 11:30 when we take her out for the last time of the night. So you don't have to stay up till the middle of the night or get up in the middle of the night to see it.
I wonder if I would see it when I get up in the morning at between 4 and 4:30 to hit my gym downstairs.
I bet you could. You should look. Well, I mean, you're up.
maybe tomorrow, instead of hitting my downstairs gym, maybe I'll take a run. Maybe I'll run and watch the sunrise and see the meteor showers.
Oh,
Well, that's good. There is beauty and joy in your life.
yes.
And to our listeners, if you're listening to the show live, for the next 2 or 3 nights, is it time for your yearly shower? Clean off 2020. Let's face it. Since August of 2019 to August of 2020, there is a lot of universal and humanity crapola that's been hitting you, your aura, your shield, your dog, your cat. Go have a shower.
There you go.
Clean off
Enjoy.
a bit.
I like it. I like it.
So
What about you?
anyways,
What's happening new and exciting in your life?
well, it's very interesting because there's 2 or 3 things. The first thing is, and this visual came up the other day when I was talking to Jeff. For the listeners who don't know, Jeff is my husband. And I said, the thing is, it's like right now our life is like walking on this beautiful wooded path beside this river, and it's truly glorious, except for the fact of all the damn black flies that are biting us. And that's what it feels like. Because on the whole, he's an essential service. He's still working. There's been no interruption of income. He's moving into exciting times in his life and got some big things coming up, but those are his, not mine to share. But they're all positive. And then, my business is really good. And, I've got 4 books out this year, and I'm still working on trying to bring in some intern staff to really get those out and marketed because I'm so busy. I continue to do well with my weight and my workouts. I'm still working out 4 times a week, easy, 4 or 5 times a week. I'm upgrading my workouts. I'm having a lot of fun doing dance workouts these days. Because one of the secrets to stay with workouts, if you're not somebody who's like crazy about doing workouts, because I'm not crazy about doing them. I just do them so I don't end up crazy. There's a difference.
And that's how we work out. Keep our sanity.
Keep our sanity. And keep in good health and stuff like that. So but like today I did an hour-long cardio toning dance workout that had songs from the 80s and 90s. And then I followed it by a little mini jazz class, which was a workout, and I burned calories, and I learned this jazz dance. I had to play it through twice, and I still don't have it down, so I'm probably going to try it again because I found this great guy out of Australia that will teach you all these different dances, and he does 1 dance per video, and it's enough to get your heart rate up and burn some calories and keep you going, and it's fun, and the music is fun, and so it starts the day with this really like energy. So I might be when I wake up, do I really want to get up? Because I don't set alarms. I do not set alarms. I'm waking up 4 to 4:30 usually, all on my own, going, I'm awake. And, and I can choose to say, well, roll over and maybe you can go back to sleep, or I can go, let's go downstairs. And it's all about choice. And I want the listeners to hear this. It is about the choice you make. And sometimes I have that conversation in my head, Lori. I'm going, okay, this is your choice. You get to make the decision. If you don't want to get up, if you think you need more sleep, ask your body. If your body says you need more sleep, get more sleep. Don't beat yourself up. If your body is like, no, you're kind of awake, but you're going to force yourself back to sleep, well, there'll be a cost to that. Usually you wake up grumpy an hour and a half later, feeling like you didn't get any good sleep because your body didn't really want anymore. And I go, and if I work out, if I get up and I work out, I always feel better. I always have a more positive start to my day. I always get a bunch of calories in the bank because I like to spend my calories. I mean, part of every workout every day is so that I can eat what I want during the day.
Right.
Well, because I wouldn't mind maybe losing another 5 pounds with that, but I'm not even, I'm kind of sort of mostly there. So I'm not doing this to, lose 50 more pounds. I've already lost 75. But it's about choice. And to have the honest discussion in your head, your choice. If I choose to get up and do this workout, I know that these are the benefits. But sometimes my body says, no, you need to rest. So one day this week it said, no, you need to rest. And I slept for another hour. Then I got up and I still had time to go for a 2-mile walk before I made Jeff's lunch and breakfast and got him up and out to work and got my day started. So I still did something. But it's about choice.
Yes. And that's the key right there. People are missing.
Yeah. And so much of what's going on today, people are choosing to give their power away. They're choosing to get sucked into the anger. And I can still do that sometimes. And I have to talk to myself. I take myself right by the ear and I pull it right up at an angle and go, now listen here, young man. Do you really think it's productive to be yelling at that idiot on Facebook? Because then it's 2 idiots are yelling at each other on Facebook. Sometimes I win that battle and sometimes I lose it.
Yeah, well, sometimes we all just get pushed a little far.
So, so I'm feeling great. I'm looking great. Great marriage. Love my kitties. That porch room is now a full 4-season room that's beautiful. I can't wait for you to come over and see it. It's in a bright blue with white trim. And now, here's the problem. I don't want to put back in the old porch furniture because the room is so beautiful. Means I may have to go to a furniture store.
You might have.
But then there are the black flies. And part of this is, for those of you who didn't hear last month's astrology, you can still go on OMTimes. On the OMTimes, I don't have the link, but you can go to OMTimes and you can go to the archives. And maybe I'll post it back out on MyDrKevin, go to my fan page and I'll post it back out. But remember last month, Rob talked about Mars and Aries and all of the irritation we were going to feel until January. You remember?
Yes. I do remember.
I've been telling all my clients about it. I go, there's going to be a part of you that's going to want to be snappy. It's going to want to be short. It's going to give in to giving somebody the finger or, saying something. I said, but that's going on in humanity right now. And maybe 6 months ago you could have done that and the person would have given you the finger back. But right now the person might take out a gun and shoot you.
Right.
Because the violence is escalating with this astrological influence. And so I know, and I'm telling all my clients, and I'm telling you, my listeners, you're going to have a tendency to get more irritated, and you have to breathe through it. You have to decide, would this really be worth the battle? To throw somebody the finger, to yell or scream at somebody, to engage in a spontaneous anger, or do you need to take a deep breath and go, is this really worth it? Because when you're feeling that irritated, it's too easy to jump into conflict that will escalate too quickly.
Amen. So true. But that goes back to choice. You can choose to give into the anger, or you can choose to radiate more love and peace.
Yep. And you can choose the people to vent to. I called an old friend of mine that I love dearly, and we go way, 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 way back. And she said, "What's going on?" And I went on, and I knew that she. And when I do it, I tend to be funny. So she laughs and she laughs, and she knows that she can laugh because I'm just venting, and I do it in a way that makes her laugh. But I felt 100 pounds lighter. I was like, I just needed to say all the mean and ugly things that went through my head.
But see, Kevin, there's the difference. You vented to a trusted friend. You didn't take it out on the store clerk or the wait staff or the poor person who didn't go at the green light as fast as you thought they should. Like, like so many people are taking it out on people they don't know. They're taking it out on strangers. They'll take it out on Facebook because they think they have a level of protection. And that all adds to the low level vibrations, to the anger, to the frustration. Instead, talk to a trusted friend. Make it a positive thing, as you do by, you're venting and you're expressing your frustrations, but you're doing it in a funny, lighthearted, oh, let me get this out, but not contribute to the negative energies kind of way, which is, again, choice.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I can't remember if I told you this or not on the show that happened right afterwards. Back in January, when Jeff and I were in Chicago, we went to a stand-up comedy, and they were having an open mic night. And I talked to them, and I almost signed up to do the open mic night, because I used to do a little stand-up in my day. I know it's hard to imagine me humorous, but
yeah. What stopped you?
At the end of the day, there was just too many commitments and things floating around, and I thought it might add stress that I didn't really go to be stressed. And I went to Chicago thinking I was going to have a creative retreat. I think I talked about it at the time, but I go to Chicago, and this, again, is before the COVID stuff was really hitting. I mean, it was just very the murmurs were happening. But I'm in Chicago thinking I'm going to have an artistic retreat for the week, and I'm going to just sit and had all these art supplies, and I was going to start working on my tarot deck and all this stuff. I had so many client emergencies that I got almost nothing done. It was as busy as the week as if I'd stayed home. And that's before my weeks got this busy. I mean, I was like, so it was the foreshadowing. It was coming. Yeah. But so, but stand-up comedy can actually be a great way, if you know how to do it, to vent. And if you can vent your anger or your frustration and make it funny, not only can you make somebody else laugh and give them the gift of laughter, but you can end up making yourself laugh. People say to me sometimes, you laugh at your own jokes. And I said, well, I hope so. If I don't laugh at my own jokes, I can't expect anybody else to laugh at them.
Right? Yeah.
Why would I not laugh?
Exactly. You are right on target. Right on target.
So some of the black flies, which led to some beautiful paths along the river, we got our house refinanced, and that paperwork ended up happening. But it was a close call, and they screwed up the paperwork, and they didn't do what I asked them to do, and I'd asked them 4 times, twice in writing, and they still didn't do what I asked them to do. And then they told me that they were going to have to postpone my closing because they didn't do what I asked them to do. It was not a pretty conversation.
No.
At 4:45 on a Friday afternoon, it was a very edgy, curt conversation that ended with, I will be there at 8:30 Tuesday morning. You will straighten this out. You will fix this. No excuses. Not my mistake. I will be there at 8:30. And I was. And it was fixed and it was ready. And now we're refinanced.
Excellent.
Yeah. Are you going to go in person to vote, or are you going to do absentee voting?
We're not sure yet.
We'll be right back and talk about a little bit about absentee voting. And then we'll move into some thoughtful, inspirational, motivational stories. One is to motivate you to vote. Vote, vote. And we'll be right back here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. We are in Thoughtful Thursday, which we do the second Thursday of every month with somebody who is just more thoughtful than anybody else I know, the ever-sweet, ever-loving Rev Lori Otto. She comes and joins me twice a month, once for Thoughtful Thursday, and then the other time when we do Planetary Influences, which will be next week with our astrologer, Rob Stewart from innercenter.org. So, Lori.
Yes, Dr. Kevin.
So, you haven't decided about absentee ballots, huh?
Well, we are big believers in absentee ballots and mail-in voting. We think that absolutely if the opportunity is there to do it, people should. Our only conflict is we literally live right next to our polling place, so we could pop in and pop out.
Okay.
That's the only reason why we would think of going in person, but I think we're about 90% to we're going to do the absentee ballot.
Well,
I don't want to hear the people.
So Jeff and I already have got our absentee ballots. And it's another black fly story.
Do tell.
They changed it in the state of New Hampshire so that you can check a box that says, because of your concern over COVID, you can do absentee ballots.
Right.
So, which is great. Hurrah, New Hampshire.
Yes.
But go, get the ballots, fax them in, wait 3 or 4 days, go online, doesn't list our ballots that we've been entered. Wait a couple more days, hasn't been entered. Fax them again. Wait a couple of days, haven't been entered. Email. Sent 1, 2, maybe 3 emails, never got an answer. Called in on the number they said to call in on. Well, that department is not open to the public, and it goes to a voicemail with a full mailbox. So you can't leave a message.
Right.
So finally, mine shows up on the website, but Jeff's doesn't. And of course, with the way he works, and with him, being a type 1 diabetic, I don't want him standing in line. And, at his workplace, he'd have to go at the end of the day, which is going to be the busiest. And I would hope that it would not be so, but I don't trust that some of these nuts that want to think that the whole mask thing is a conspiracy theory aren't going to think it's a lot of fun to stand in line with no mask and get all close and talk to you and talk at you. So, frankly, I was more concerned about making sure Jeff got an absentee ballot than me. But of course, I was the one that showed up. I faxed it in 9 times.
Nine times?
9 times. I faxed in his absentee ballot, called a half a dozen times, and went to voicemail every time. On Wednesday, Mayor Jim in Nashua does a coffee that he used to do at a coffee shop where people could come and ask questions. Now he does it as a Zoom, so you can go in and he'll talk and he'll update you and he'll ask questions. And he has the woman that's the head of public health for Nashua. He even had on the woman who is the city clerk, who talks about how wonderful everything is going. And I'm typing in, and other people are typing in, we're calling, voicemail box is full, nobody's answering our emails, we can't get our absentee ballots done. All of that is being ignored. I was just livid. Because it's important. And I'm trying to decide my next strategy. And of course, part of the whole black fly thing is I'm really busy. I don't have time to be doing this stuff. I'm not somebody who's laid off with too much time on their hands. And so I'm trying to do, so I'm calling people to harass them and be mean simply because I have nothing better to do. It's like, oh, baby, I got so much other stuff to do. So anyways, the absentee ballots come in the mail on Thursday morning. Actually, it might have been Wednesday afternoon. They come in the mail, and whoever entered his name misspelled it. So I kept on putting his name in, and so it kept on not showing up because they misspelled his name. But if I had gotten anybody to answer a voicemail, I would have known.
Right,
If I got to talk to somebody. So I'm like, why did they get mine? Because I faxed both of ours in, I think, 3 or 4 times. And then I faxed Jeff's in another 4 or 5 times. I know that it was at least 9 times I faxed. Because I kept faxing it, thinking, they're not getting it, or whatever. And maybe somebody is sitting there going, what's wrong with this guy? Why does he keep on faxing this in? But you would have thought that they would have tried to reach out.
Right. No, that's probably exactly what happened. Why does this guy keep faxing? Well, maybe you should contact him and find out.
Yeah. Like, what's wrong with this picture? Yeah. So anyways, so these are some of the black flies. And they seem minor, but when you look and you go, I've got 3 hours of stuff to catch up on that I can't get to, 45 minutes before my first client comes, I have no breaks today, and I'm not finished until 6 o'clock. It's really aggravating to have to spend your time doing something because somebody's being stupid, being inefficient, giving really bad, and then to have the head of the department go on and tell all the audience how wonderful they are, while all the audience is typing in going, ho, 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 whoa, 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 we have problems. And I now know I've got my ballots, but all of that was posted, and I posted on the mayor's timeline, and I posted on the city of Nashua's timeline, and no one has gotten back to me. So, and because it was Jeff, they don't know which one I was asking for because I was the one doing, because Jeff can't do that sort of stuff at work. Anyways, enough about the black flies. There are a dozen more I could tell. I could try to tell them humorously. Hopefully I could create a couple of laughs here. I tried. Maybe there's a reason I don't do stand-up comedy anymore. Maybe they told me to sit down. What is your first inspirational, motivational story? Let's switch topics.
I obviously have a ton from kids because, honestly, the youth of this country and of the world, actually, are the ones who are stepping up the most right now. And it's very impressive. But I'm going to hold off on those because I have one that will touch close to home to anyone living in New England. And I just thought this was really nice. This person went to take their grandfather for a medical test. And when they got to the house, they saw on the kitchen island a receipt from Market Basket for $52. Now, Market Basket, for those not in New England, is a local grocery store chain, obviously, Market Basket. And so she's looking at it. Now, her grandfather has dementia. So apparently, one day he decided he needed groceries. So he took a cab, he went to the grocery store, he got his groceries. But at the register, he realized he didn't have a wallet. He had just grabbed his pension check, which they couldn't cash because he had no ID. So what do? A lot of stores would say, I'm sorry, and they'd put the groceries aside, maybe say, we'll hold them for the day, you can come back with the money later or whatever. But no, because this grandfather had gone to this store for so many years and they knew who he was, the manager of the store paid for his groceries out of his own pocket. You know, just to be kind and help this man who was clearly confused, you know. I mean, he has dementia, and they took care of him, and they helped him out. And they made sure, you know, that he got home with his groceries and all of that. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. $52 is nothing to cause chaos and mayhem over. Like $20.
Absolutely.
You know, but so I just thought that, to me, shows that there are still people in power, because, you know, this is the manager of the store, that care. You know, because so many people say, oh, there's nobody in power cares. No, this man showed he cared. And he, you know, and the grandchild who takes the grandfather to the appointments and stuff is also somebody who should be heralded and praised for loving their grandfather enough to make sure he gets to his appointments and that he is cared for and stuff like that. I don't know. I found that very inspirational.
Yes, that is very inspirational, and that's great. Now, do we know what market basket it was, or it just said a market basket?
No, it was the one in Leominster. I always pronounce it wrong. Forgive me, Massachusetts residents. Leominster, Massachusetts. Yeah. Okay. And Charlie is the store manager's name.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Well, good for Charlie.
Yeah.
And I imagine that the grandchild probably went back and paid for the groceries. Maybe they didn't, and that's either way is okay. But you know,
they didn't, but I believe that they did.
Yep. So I have a story.
Okay.
And we're going to see if I can get this in before our next break. So there was this woman took her 3-year-old daughter outside of her home in Concord, California, where they had lived for several years. They had lived there several years, and I don't know if she had other children or whatever, but she was with a 3-year-old daughter, but she had lived there several years. And she was trying to teach her daughter, and on the sidewalk outside their home, she wrote, Black Lives Matter. And this is a person of color. And the next day, somebody had erased black. So it just said Lives Matter. So she went back out, wrote it again. This went on for like a week and a half. Every day, somebody was erasing it. And then she turned her security cameras out and saw, big surprise, this older white man, and I'm not saying that all older white men, but I can't say it surprised me when I got to this part, was erasing it. And she was really upset. And she didn't really know the guy. He wasn't, he was in the neighborhood and stuff like this. But it got around the neighborhood that this was happening. And I believe, I don't have the whole story in front of me, I believe they said it was like over 30 neighbors. It was an impressive amount came and wrote all over her sidewalk, Black Lives Matter, all these other positive affirmations, all of these things, completely blew it out, the whole sidewalk, with the mother and the little girl. They came and did this, and she spoke to the guy who said, you know, all lives matter, which of course we won't go into that. And he stopped erasing it, and they left it. And the woman felt very supported and very loved, and the little girl got the lesson that, yeah, there are some jackasses out there, but there are also some really good people. And you just have to focus on the good people. So that's my story. What do you think? Had you read that, by the way?
I had not read that, actually. I don't know how that one escaped me, but I love hearing when communities pull together. Last month we talked about the black man that was afraid to run and walk in his own neighborhood, and all his neighbors came out and supported him. To me, this feels like the same type of thing. I love when communities support each other.
Yeah, and it's really important because people say, what can I do? And there are so many things that you can do if you want to support. If you get why we need to be saying Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter never said other lives don't matter, but
right.
Other lives are not the focus of this problem that's been going on since this country was founded in one variation or another. It isn't about, well, I didn't own slaves, why should I? No, you have to follow the line of how oppressed people of color have been generation after generation after generation, obviously pre-slavery, during slavery, and that post-slavery up to today. All of the numbers are disturbing when you look at them, of all of the ways in which there's a cost to being a person of color in this country. And they don't get it. They don't get it. But anyways, it was a positive story, a story of inspiration. And we're going to leave it on the positive inspiration part of it. We will be right back for our last segment, where Lori will share another story, and I'm going to give you a positive message through a history lesson right here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wound, sir?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother.
911, what is your emergency?
Okay.
911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
hello, and welcome back to the last segment of this week's Dr. Kevin Show, where I'm here with Lori Powers-Otto, and we're here on Thoughtful Thursday, sharing thoughtful and inspirational and motivational stories and swatting black flies.
Oh, Kevin. Dr. Kevin, you are so funny.
Oh, well, you know, as they say, looks aren't everything. Go ahead! Share with us your next story of note.
Well, you know, I'd love to talk about the kids, but I want to talk about how people are always saying, or at least I've heard a lot of people say, you see it online, well, why aren't all celebrities and rich people doing more to help out? Right? People are like, oh, they got the money, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. But a lot of them do, and they just don't seek the attention. And one of them that has kept coming up this week, so I feel like I have to talk about him, is Warwick Dunn. He's a football player, or was a football player. And a lot of people don't know this, but his mother was shot and killed when he was a teenager. So he helped take care of and raise his 5 siblings while still going to school, while still getting in shape, while still playing football, while making it into the NFL to become a very, successful football player. But he didn't go, okay, I did my part. I helped raise my 5 siblings. I can just go on and live my life and that's it. No, he didn't do that. He took his millions of dollars that he made being a football player, and he has built, that we know of, over 145 homes for single parents to honor his mother. So so instead of just sitting on the sidelines and, partying and doing all those things that people think all famous people do, he's in the trenches. He's helping at least 145 other families. And I find that to be truly inspirational. And there are other celebrities who have done things like that. We all know the billionaire's name escaping me that built a whole town really for disadvantaged people, and almost I think he has like an 89 or 98% of the kids have gone on to college and graduated. So I find these people incredibly inspirational. But for those who say, I don't have millions of dollars to do things like that, there's an 8-year-old boy that he's like, okay, I want to help. What do I do? So this little boy, 8, from South Carolina, he said, and that was my southern accent coming out. I try to keep it in check. He's mowing lawns for first responders, and he's feeding the hungry, and any single mothers he knows, he's helping out any way he can. He's 8. He's not spending money. He's just doing it from the heart. If this 8-year-old can do these positive things and change these people's lives for the better, we can all do something every day. And it is true, just holding the door for somebody or smiling at a stranger, even with your mask on because it shows in your eyes, or, waving to the little kid, playing in the yard or whatever, or, it all matters. It all helps. It all makes a difference. So if you got millions of dollars, God bless you. I'd give back to it as much as you can. But if you have no dollars, you can still make a positive difference. That's my story.
Attitudes and actions. And I can't tell you how often I have this conversation, especially with new clients. And, I always try with my clients that, when somebody starts working with me, I always tell them my job is to get in and out of their life as quickly as possible and get as much done as they're willing to have done. It's not about, hey, let's spend the rest of our lives together while you talk about your mother laying on a couch. Not my style. And so I keep saying, well, things are going to slow down, but I picked up like 5 new clients in the last couple of weeks. And so I've been having this conversation a lot because my new clients always hear about this. And I always tell them, one of the things I look at is the difference between what you say you believe and what your actions and attitudes tell me you believe. Because when we look at the attitudes and actions, they tell me what you really believe in some part of you, no matter what your intellect wants to tell you you should believe. And maybe what you do believe, not saying it's wrong or that it's bad, but it's out of harmony. It's disconnected. Or maybe it is. Maybe you cannot recognize what this is because it's coming from a wound and you can't be that person. So let's help you not be that person. But you have to own that you're being that person. And that's what your attitude and your actions tell me. It isn't about how much money you have. Yes, money helps, and there are things you can do with money you can't do without money. But every one of those millionaires and billionaires get the same 24 hours a day that we do. And they still have, as we said in the beginning of this show, they have choice. How will I spend those 24 hours? How will I spend my money? How will I spend my time? What attitude will I do it with? Sometimes just having a positive attitude, being upbeat, that smile, that's worth $1 million to somebody that is feeling helpless or hopeless or disempowered. That anybody would care. I think I've said this before, that, early on in my Facebook, having a Facebook, you wish people happy birthday. And I don't know why, but I had this thing. I had to wish everybody happy birthday on my birthday line. It's just a thing. Even though sometimes, you end up with people on Facebook that are friends of friends, or somebody you met once, and some people you've never met at all, but you agreed on an opinion or you liked something and you became Facebook friends. I mean, Facebook friends is a world all of its own. Now I've got 5,000 friends. Some days the list is pretty hefty of people that have birthdays, But early on, I sent a birthday wish to somebody that I didn't know. We had connected through some organization or something, but I sent a big cheery birthday message to them. And they got back to me. And I said, thank you. You're the only person that wished me happy birthday this year.
Oh.
And I have never missed a day since.
That's, honestly, I do the same thing. I don't have as many friends as you, but I do the same thing. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sometimes sometimes it's just the simplest of things. And if I realize that because I got so busy and so crazy that I missed the day, I go back and I send a happy belated birthday. With an upside down smiley by the belated and hope it was great. And sometimes I'll work in some kind of unique message. I hope your day is as fabulous as you are. Because I'm going to go with the assumption that you're fabulous until you tell me otherwise. Why would I not?
Right.
I'm fabulous.
But
why would I not think you're fabulous?
Exactly. But thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because those birthday messages mean so much to so many. I mean, I know people that wait all year to see how many birthday messages they get because they feel invisible the rest of the year. And it doesn't take a lot of your time to really make somebody's day just by saying happy birthday. And you can send them a virtual cake or whatever, and that goes back to, it's the small things that can make a huge difference.
So, as what's going to be our final, so to speak, our final story of the day, I want to do a little history lesson. This woman was born in 1924 and she passed in 2005. She was an American politician, educator, and author. In 1968, she became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress, 1968, representing New York's 12th congressional district for 7 terms from 1969 to 1983. In 1972 United States presidential election, she became the first Black candidate for a majority party's nomination for President of the United States and the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Do you know who this is?
I'm embarrassed to say I don't.
Shirley Chisholm. 1968, she became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress. The first woman ever in Congress was in Congress before women had the right to vote. She came from Montana.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Shirley Chisholm has always been an impressive woman to me that broke down a lot of barriers, that decided that she was going to try to change lives for the people of her constituency, but people of color from the inside out. Politician, educator, author. You know, and 7 terms, and ran for president. And I'll bet you almost nobody in this listening audience ever heard of her. Why? This woman inspired and motivated. This woman could be inspiring and motivating to thousands and thousands of young Black women, or even women of any color, women of color, of young girls, that says 1968, oh my God, that's old, that's forever ago. Like a little 10-year-old might say. Gosh, that's back when Grammy was young. Okay? But
yeah, as a Grammy
doing it. Huh?
As a Grammy, I take that personally.
You mean you resonate to it personally?
Yes. Yeah.
But we need to be talking about these inspiring, motivating, life-changing people of color, because they get left out of the history books. And so I was hoping by sharing the history of this woman that it might inspire or motivate somebody out there. This road has been traveled before. There's a big deal because Kamala, has been chosen to be Biden's vice president, and hopefully, if there is a God, will be our vice president in 2021. But I won't get into politics here. This is not the political show. That was last week. And, when they're talking about, the first Black woman that's running for vice president, blah, blah, blah. But nobody refers to Shirley and all that she did and all the barriers she broke. And another one, Jeff and I watched Harriet. Oh, my God. What a powerful movie. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but I did study her at one point for a while. She was quite amazing.
Oh, yeah, and she was in women's suffragette movement and stuff like this. But, she died penniless. People were having to support her. The government wouldn't recognize the fact that she served in the Civil War and won a major battle as the leader of the war because she couldn't. She couldn't have. They refused to recognize her because she was, she had 2 strikes against her. She was a person of color and she was a female. So they would not give her the pension that they gave everybody else that served in the Civil War.
Right.
But I have the movie if you ever want to borrow it. It is a powerhouse.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to watch that. It's on our list of things to watch. At least once a week or so, we're trying to watch something along that lines because we forget. We all do. And we need to be reminded of the strong, powerful people in our past that are not spoken of as often as they should be.
Yeah, you're supposed to be on the $20 bill. And, of course, our racist in chief, kiboshed that as soon as he took office. They were going to replace Andrew Jackson with Harriet Tubman.
Right. Hopefully we can do that next year.
Yes. Well, odds are in our favor that they start putting those out again. Yeah. So, thank you. I will be talking with you, and you'll be talking with us next week with Rob on Planetary Influences here on the Dr. Kevin Show. Lori, lovely as always.
Bye, Dr. Kevin.
Bye.